This time on the show, optimizing your Linux install for better battery life, Darren reports. Then encrypt all the things! I'm setting up local encryption volumes that play well with cloud sync services like spideroak and Dropbox. Plus RSS podcasts from YouTube, is it possible? All that and more this time on Hak5. This segment is brought to you by Untangle.
Before we get started with this episode of Hak5, I just wanted to make a really quick announcement because by the time you see this, I would have already cleared customs and I'm already now in Geneva, Switzerland, where I'm on a special mission at the International Telecommunications Union. So by the time you've seen this, I've actually already spoken to the Secretary General of the ITU at the United Nations. How crazy is this? If you've been following ThreatWire, you understand the importance of what's happening in the ITU. I will be attending parts of the WTPF, or the Worldwide Telecommunications Policy Forum. So I will be in Geneva the 3rd through the 9th. So I just want to throw that out there. I will also be reporting from the field throughout Europe for a couple of weeks now. As long as I'm over there, I will be celebrating my 30th birthday in Dublin. So I will be in Dublin the 10th through the 15th, I want to say. So if you're in Ireland, there's going to be a meetup. It's going to be good fun, as well as the rest of these countries. And then from the 15th through the 20th, I will be in Berlin, Germany, at some hacker spaces. And then from there on, I think I'll be in the UK. So I'm just throwing that out there because I know that this is really short notice and I couldn't really talk about this too much before heading there, but by the time you see this, I'm already in there, and you should be looking out for tweets and updates on hak5.org. So follow us on all of the social media places, darrenkitchen.com, for all of the places where you can find my specific social media presence and all of the information about the meetups that will be happening in these countries. And I'm specifically looking for your advice when it comes to, say, hacker spaces in Berlin or Dublin or London or wherever this may take me. But that's my quick update before the show to let you know that right now I'm in Geneva at the ITU. Cheers.
Hello, welcome to Hak5. My name is Darren Kitchen. It's a weekly dose of Technolist.
My name's Shannon Morse. Hi, how are you?
It's the show where we count up into the show, not down.
1, 2, and now.
Arbitrarily.
Ich, ni, san.
They have no idea what we're talking about.
0. No.
Yeah.
That's okay.
We have I don't want to talk about it yet, but I'm just saying there is like a special secret project kind of thing going on by the time this airs, and so stay tuned.
The thing next week?
The thing with the thing.
Okay, yeah.
It's the thingy.
The thing with the thing and all the things.
Mm-hmm. So stay tuned to the Twitter and the Google Plus for stuff on that. And it is why today I'm doing my first series of crazy stuff with this new ugly black box.
That thing is huge.
I know, it kind of is.
Why did you ever buy that?
Well, because I need a clean machine for where I want to take. The hacker box, but hacker box ain't going.
Oh, so. Yeah, that one draws attention.
So,
with this one, you look like a businessman.
I look boring.
You just have to wear a tie, though.
I have a tie.
Yeah.
Okay, I will wear it on my forehead.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea with this is I want to start talking about all the things you do, road warrior, travel, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And one of them, the first one that I actually started working on before all of the other, fun encryption tunneling and, PGP and all that good stuff is just getting your machine to a point where you can really use the crap out of it without it dying on you.
Yes.
The reason I went with this right here is a Lenovo ThinkPad T430. And it's got a 9-cell battery that juts out the back, as well as another 9-cell battery that attaches onto the bottom.
God.
And then you can
that
get
thing
another.
Is a monster.
Yeah. You can actually get another 3-cell that goes into the CD-ROM bay.
What?
Yeah, for a total of 21 cells. But
oh my God.
This is how
so
it is.
How many hours does this thing last right now?
Well, that's the thing. They claim in Windows up to 30 hours. And we know what up to means, right?
Yeah.
But that's Windows.
That means you can only get that if you're not doing anything on your computer.
Exactly. So the thing is, Linux battery life has really taken a dive as of the 3.0, 3x kernel. Seriously.
I've noticed some of that on my own machine.
And we're not going to get into all of the reasons here, but I would like to actually spend a little bit of time talking about ways that you can optimize your Linux installation for better battery life. And the first way that, and I've got like 7 great tips, and within all of those we'll drill down, but the very first one is if you have the opportunity to, get this out of your life.
Get a hard drive.
No, get the spinny disk out. Actually, this is a 3.5, but you know, go over to a solid state drive because that is going to be huge.
I think I can exchange this one. Oh yeah, there's screws on the bottom of this, so I could just pop this out and put on a new solid state drive. That'd be easy.
Probably.
And I think this one's currently such a small hard drive anyway. I could probably get the same amount of hard drive space or solid state space for.
And with all of those
pretty
new Ultrabooks that are coming out, where's this guy?
It's in my backpack.
Yeah, so like with all of these new ridiculous machines that are coming out, like this guy, the S7, you're going to have a solid state in there because they've pretty much put everything soldered onto the motherboard. So
it's so pretty.
So that's good stuff there. But the thing is, once you get your solid state drive, you're not done there because it turns out Linux isn't really set up for the kinds of optimization you would expect with a solid state drive out of the box. I guess they do this just to make it as general as possible.
Oh, okay.
So I've got a couple of tweaks that you're going to want to do, and they involve editing your fstab file. Don't follow along on this one because you don't have a solid state.
Oh, okay.
But your fstab, what you're going to want to do first of all is make a backup of it. So let's sudo cp /etc/fstab, and then if you put braces, we can create a backup right there in one thingy. And there we go. If I ls/etc/fstab*, you'll see I've made a backup of it, which is great. So now we want to edit our fstab by sudo. I'm going to give nano some love because I haven't been doing so much nano lately.
Oh, nano.
And edit my fstab. And I've already done these tweaks. I want to walk you through them here. So the first thing that you want to do is disable writing the last access time and the last time that a directory or a file was accessed.
Okay.
If you don't need that. I'm on a single user system. I really don't care when the last time a file was accessed. To think of like every time a file is accessed, it has to write this metadata back to that file. It's constantly turning on the drive.
Yeah.
And if we can stop doing that, it's going to save a lot of juice. So to do that, what we do is come over to, and we can see right here, here's my mount point for / for my main drive, and it's ext4. And what we do is we add no A time, no dir A time, and that right there will prevent access times from being recorded. The other thing that you want to do is enable trim. Now, trim can be added.
What is trim?
It's just, you know, I didn't read up on that right before this, but basically it's a facility for making hard drives more efficient if they're solid state.
Oh, okay.
It's in Windows, but it's to enable it in Linux, basically you just put this right here.
It's a hard drive management tool.
And you just put discard next to it.
Okay.
I think it has to do with the way that it writes to the disk, the way that it buffers its writes, but I'm not positive right off the top of my head.
Okay.
Another thing that we want to do is we want to tune our swappiness.
Oh yes, swappiness.
So,
I'm familiar with that.
So our swap file is the file on a hard drive that basically acts as virtual RAM. If we can get by without using it, or at least not using swap disk until our memory is full, we can set swappiness to 0. And so to find out how your swappiness is doing, first what we want to do is cat this file here. So we're going to cat/proc/sys/vm/swappiness. And you can see right here that this is set up to be 60.
Yeah.
This is by default in Linux Mint 14 that I'm running here. What I want to do is set this to 0. Very simply, I'm logged in as root, so I'll just echo 0 to that file.
And that changes it.
So what this does is it says, go ahead and use all of my memory, and then once you run out of memory, then you can start doing swap.
Restart.
But don't start using swap all the time when I even still have free memory.
Yeah.
You can find out just by typing in free. You can see right here, I've used about half of my memory.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so if you type free, you're going to see how much memory you've used as well. It's good stuff. Now let's go back to our FS tab, because there's another thing that we can do to calm down writing to the hard drive.
Okay.
There's another way that we can use our RAM to really enhance the power management of our system, and that is our temp FS. So on a Linux distribution, there's always going to be temporary space where like log files and other crap is written to. And if you can move that over from the hard drive over to RAM, it's going to be a lot, it's going to be hitting
It'll
every
just
time.
live in RAM. Yeah.
The less you can hit the hard drive, the more you're going to save battery life. So to create the RAM disk for your temp file system, first of all, we want to find out how much memory we have and how much we're using. So if I do a df tech h, it's going to show me that I have a temp FS here. The size of it is 732 megs. I've only used 1.5 megs, so I really haven't used a whole lot. Yeah, so I have a 732
I've
meg
used 1% of
temp
mine.
and /run. Now what I'm going to do is come over to my FS tab that I have open here, and I'm going to add these values here, and you can just copy these right over, and I've got links in the show notes to what all of this does. But basically what we're going to say is /temp, do a RAM drive for that. Use a temp FS. And then here are the options that we're going to be using. We're going to be using the default plus, remember, no A time for no access time, so it's not adding that to the files. You can specify a size, you don't have to. I've set it to be 512 megs. Remember, I've only used 1 meg.
Right.
And what's really interesting about this is when you actually set that file size, it's not going to go ahead and allocate 512 megs of your RAM to this temp FS. It's going to use up to before it starts like overwriting stuff, or we might have to clear it. But so that's cool because like I just showed you, I'm only using a meg. And then mode 1777 is just for your permissions. So I've done that for /temp, /var spool, and for /var temp. Now, if you don't care about log files after you reboot your system, you can do the same thing to /var/log. Considering this is a single user system, I'm going to do that. If I'm running into performance problems, if I'm running into like crashing issues, I'll comment that out and then hopefully figure out what's going on with my system. But that's where your logs would live more permanently. Okay. So we can go ahead and exit out of our FS tab there now. And so the next thing that I want to talk about is an awesome utility that we should all just start running now called PowerTOP.
PowerTOP, okay.
Get yourself PowerTOP. It's sudo apt-get install PowerTOP. I've already done that, or whatever your window manager of choice or distro of choice is, and run PowerTOP. And what this is showing me here, this is so cool. I get to see all of my processes just like I would see in top. In fact, here, let me run top in another window next to it to kind of show you the difference. See, top it shows me, what the process, what the process ID is, who the user is, and a bunch of other stuff about the CPU and memory usage. Well, once you learn how to read it, let's back over to PowerTOP. Really what we're interested in is the description. It says, say, for example, network interface, WLAN 0, my Wi-Fi. It's using 12 watts.
Wow.
It's doing 136 packets per second. Cinnamon, which is the windowing environment that I'm unfortunately using right now, is using 2 watts. And we can come down here. What's using 1.5 watts? ETH0. So that right there tells me, hey, I could probably save 1.5 watts just by disabling my ETH0 interface because I'm not actually even using my Ethernet right now. So I'll just open a new tab and sudo ifconfig ETH0 down. And if I come back over to PowerTOP and hit R for refresh, it just disappeared. In fact, it's probably using a minuscule amount, but just turned off my Ethernet, and now I saved a watt.
Nice.
You can also see at the very top here, it says 25 watts. That's how much I'm currently using. I really want to get that under 10. It also says estimated remaining time in battery is 0 hours and 24 minutes. So Darren, get your segment done quick. The reason for that actually is if I come down here, you can barely see it, but I have 2 batteries in this system. One of them is at 11%, the other one's at 100%. So these combine to give me the total, and it's only reading one of them right now, but that's fine. For what I really care about, I just want to get my system using the least amount of watts as possible. And so there's lots of different ways that you can tweak your system to use as little as possible, and PowerTOP is an awesome resource that you keep coming back to. In fact, if you use page up and page down, you'll see I can take a look at my CPU usage. I can take a look.
I was just looking at that.
Yeah, I can look at tunable stats. Tunables is really interesting because it'll give you a good, bad recommendation on different stuff. Like right here, enable audio codec power management. I haven't done that, and it's saying it's bad because I haven't done that. So there's a bunch of other stuff that it can do to make the playing more efficient, and PowerTOP will tell you. So I love it. Okay. So next up is this tool called laptop mode. And laptop mode, among many...
That sounds like the Windows laptop mode.
It kind of. It's a daemon in the background that's like, hey, I know that you're a laptop. I've got a bunch of things that I know that you can do to use power most efficiently.
Okay.
And laptop mode is on most distributions by default, but there's a tool that will allow us to tweak it. Now, what laptop mode does is, among many other things dealing with I/O, it prevents the hard drive from spinning up constantly every time we're trying to touch a file. Now, mind you, we're using a solid-state drive, which already uses a lot less power, but it does many other things, and so it's definitely useful. So to configure laptop mode, you're going to need laptop mode tools. And so let me come over to another window here. And I've already apt-get installed laptop mode tools, but again, it's just sudo apt-get install laptop mode tools if you haven't already. And once you have that, you can go ahead and start configuring it. There's a file in /etc/laptop mode, and it's called laptopmode.conf, and we can, again, give Nano some love there. And you can see all of the different tweaks that you can do in here, like enable laptop modes is set to 1, so this tool is enabled.
Oh, nice.
I can come down here and see when it's going to be enabled, like enable it when it's on battery, yes. Enable it when I'm on AC power, no. You can change whether it's on when you close the lid and things like that.
Oh, nice.
And there are all
That's
of these
cool.
different modules, like AC97 power save, that's a sound card power save, CPU freak, all of these different modules here. And if you come down here, it just says enable auto modules 1. That means that all of these are enabled by default. You can really come down here and start reading all of the things on these and finding out all of the tweaks that it does. But for the most part, out of the box, all of this should be pretty happy. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, if I've got a solid state drive, do I really need laptop mode tools? And it may not be relevant for your disk, but laptop mode tools also does a whole bunch of other improvements. And even if you do have an SSD, getting your SSD to go into sleep mode or ALPM mode to kick in will definitely help a little bit. Your mileage may vary depending on your different hardware that you're using. But it's not just for hard drives. It covers all sorts of different I/O and, like I said, the AC97 sound stuff. So there's, I think, still a lot of good reason to be using laptop mode tools. So you can verify it's running really simply by, in a terminal, if I cat/proc/sys/vm/laptop_mode, I can see that it's set to a non-zero integer, and that just means that it's running. And we can go ahead and enable this if it's not already enabled by doing something like sudo update-rc.d, and then you just say laptop-mode with defaults. There you go. But I've already done this, so I don't need to. It's telling me that it already exists. That's good stuff. We had just briefly touched on CPU frequency.
Yes.
And this is a huge one to save yourself some juice. Now, there's a CPU scaling indicator that will allow you to, check out your current speed and actually adjust your speed and then change it to different kind of profiles like, high performance or on demand or things of that nature. And and CPU Freak D, if it's probably already installed, but it's CPU FREQ D. It's a daemon that's probably already running. Is really cool, but it's not the sexiest to configure. For something like, changing my CPU scaling, I kind of want a GUI. As much as I love the terminal, I like, coming from a former Windows world, I like how on a Windows thing, you just click in the bottom right and change, not necessarily your CPU speed, but you could change it from like high performance to battery saving. So what I've done is installed a little awesome applet called indicator-CPU freak. So it's, again, sudo apt-get install indicator-CPU freq. And I've already done that, and let me show you how this looks. If it's not once you've installed that, you'll run it by typing in indicator-CPU freak and then hidden ampersand to make it run in the background.
Okay.
You can also add this to your startups in most distros. Just type startup, and you'll find where your startup applications are. Of course, we're talking about GNOME here, so it may be different in KDE. That said, you add your CPU indicator, and now in the bottom right, or for you, you're in Unity, it's probably in the top right.
Yes.
I see this little icon here, and if I click that, I can see all of the different gigahertz I support.
Yes, I see it.
Right now, I'm on
Oh
demand.
god, mine's terrible.
What are you at?
1.2. I'm on demand
The
too.
highest yours goes is 1.2.
1.2,
You
yeah.
got the i3, didn't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Slow.
But it's like 3 years old.
Whatever. Okay. Well, on demand is what I'm doing, and I find it to be so far the best. You can play around with this and see what kind of different CPU, speeds and versus battery life that you're going to get. I really like the idea that I can specifically come in here and say I want full 2.9 gigahertz,
Yeah,
or
that's
I want to
really
go down to 1.2. On demand is pretty cool because it just says, hey, stay as low as possible, and then as soon as the process says that it wants more, well, then give it more, but then come right back down. So I pretty much leave it right there, and I thought that's an applet that you guys would really like.
That's awesome.
Okay, another one that you can do to really save a lot of juice here is it's just adjusting your fan speed. Out of the box, a lot of some of this may be specific to my ThinkPad, or to ThinkPads in general. However, there's a utility called ThinkFan, and ThinkFan it actually supports some other machines like from Dell and whatnot. So this might be worth checking out and seeing if your machine's on the list, because what it allows you to do is change the way that the fan operates by default in Linux.
I used to have something like that on my old Acer Aspire back in the day. Yeah. But that was
on
for
Windows or Linux. That's the thing, is Linux is by default, it's very much kind of made for the desktop, and yet a lot of us now are using laptops, and it's not really tuned for it. So that's why we have to go through a segment like this. But it's just going to be so aggressive on your fan, and really you can kind of tune that back, because if you can specify various thresholds of temperatures and different fan speeds, you can really get it to, one, be a lot less noisy, and two, stop running that dang fan at 100% all the time.
Yeah.
So
it's loud too.
on my machine, one of the ways that you can find out what your fan is doing is to cat this thing under proc and ACPI, and then for mine it's IBM/fan. Now yours is probably going to be different, but you'll see that it's enabled.
That's true.
It's on auto, and this is the RPMs that's spinning at. I could also find out my thermal stuff by catting /sys/devices/virtual/thermal, and then there's a thermal zone 0, covers my laptop, and it says it is a directory. What I want to do is there's a temp file in there. It's not a temp file, it's a temperature file. I don't know why I'm so tickled by that.
Oh God.
My whole life I've had C:\temp, and I've always thought about it as temporary, not temperature. But yeah, I can see
It is temperature, isn't it?
I'm at 51
sense.
degrees Celsius right now. That's not too bad.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Okay, well, ThinkFan is a cool utility that's going to allow you to actually specify the different thresholds and what speeds to actually do. So sudo apt-get install ThinkFan. To enable it on your machine, it really depends on what machine you have. For mine, I have to go in /etsy/modprobe.d, and I had to create this file here called ThinkFan. If I cat thinkfan.conf, you'll see the option that I had to give it was, think ACPI, fan control equals 1. It just says, hey, let me actually get at ACPI to be able to edit those.
Okay.
Now, with all of that done, ThinkFan, the utility, has made all of the stuff really easy as far as actually, I don't have to manually sit there and adjust it based on the temperature.
Nice.
It's a daemon that does that. So what I can do is configure it now, once you have it installed. It's in Etsy. You want to nano or vi or vim or Emacs your file here called thinkfan.conf. And they have a whole bunch of parameters in here, but really what you care about is where your sensor is. Now, on older ThinkPads, the sensor was in proc, ACPI, IBM thermal. On mine, it happens to be in this location. So again, that's just something you're going to have to find for your model. But after that, you've got all of these different ways that you can actually specify what to do and when. So 0 through 7 here are the different fan speeds, and the RPMs are really going to differ based on your model. The next numbers are the low and the high temperature. So what this means is stay in state 0, which is fan not
Those
running
are in
at all.
Celsius?
And Celsius. So don't spin the fan at all between 0 degrees and 55 degrees. As soon as you get to 55 degrees, go to fan speed 1, which is the lowest.
That's cool.
And stay there until you drop to 48 degrees, at which point go back up to 0, and then stay there until you get to 60. At that point, go to 2. And so you see that they're actually staggered, so as soon as it gets back down to 50, it goes to 1. You can really spend some time tweaking this. There's on the thinkwiki.org, they have a listing of people like put, what values they're using. I've got mine set kind of aggressively right now. I hate the fan noise. I'm keeping an eye on my temperature, and we'll see. But that is another great way you can save your battery. There's one last one that is, or not one last one, but there's another one that is, this one was the biggest for me, and it's specific to a lot of new laptops have both an Intel graphics card or an integrated graphics card, as well as a discrete graphics card like an NVIDIA or an ATI.
Yeah, I've seen those a lot.
Well, it used to be a huge pain in the ass, but it's gotten a lot better lately. There's a tool called VGA Switcheroo, which will allow you to turn on and off and enable and disable those different graphics cards. And so I've already actually gone into the BIOS of this ThinkPad here and disabled the discrete graphics, the NVIDIA graphics it comes with, because I'm not gaming on this machine.
So you don't need that running all the time.
But it's still, even though I've disabled it in the BIOS, it is still actually eating juice the whole time. Yeah, and it made a huge difference. So what you want to do, and all of these things that I'm saying you want to do, you probably put in your RC local file in fact, all cat/etsy/rc.local. This is a file, basically it's your startup. In fact, here's the command, echo off to this file here in syskernel debug VGA switcheroo switch. If I cat that file right now, if I sudo cat that file right now, you're going to see that discrete is off, while integrated is powered. If I hadn't set off to it, if I hadn't echoed off to syskernel blah, blah, blah.
It would still say powered.
It would say power. And then...
And it'll be taking up...
a ton of juice.
Interesting.
It really did make a difference. That alone doubled my battery life on this machine.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, which is huge.
I wonder if I have one in the background here.
I'm pretty sure on your little i3 you don't have an NVIDIA graphics card.
You don't think so?
No, but you can cat your switcheroo file. Maybe you can play Tux Racer?
Oh, dude.
Or Ski Free.
That's a good idea. Switcheroo.
The other big thing that you can do, if I come back over to my PowerTOP, you're going to see, okay, the biggest resource here is my network interface. I can't do a whole lot about that. I have, using laptop mode tools, I have it set up to actually try to use a lower power mode for Wi-Fi, to set Wi-Fi to sleep more and things like that. But that actually depends on whether or not the access point on the other end supports such a feature. In this case, it seems like the Hak5 AP that we have doesn't. I'm running 10 watts. So that's just one of those things. I guess I could turn off Wi-Fi, but then it wouldn't be online.
Yeah.
The other thing, though, you'll notice is Cinnamon. That is the desktop environment for Mint.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's either Mate or Cinnamon when you go with Mint. But it's using nearly 6 watts. That's huge, right? In fact, now it's using 7. One of the things that you can do...
And that's one of the lower ones, too.
I'm actually booted into the 2D version of Cinnamon, so that's another thing that you can do is, if you're using GNOME 3, use the 2D version.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a 2D version of Unity. There probably is, if you really love Unity. But something that you could do to really use a lot less power is to use a very lightweight, stripped-down desktop manager, kind of like when you boot into Puppy Linux and you're like, oh my god, this is god-awful.
This is so bad.
Well, one that you can use is i3. This is, it's
That's a CPU.
It is, in addition to a windowing environment that looks like this. It's a tiling environment, and so it's pretty cool. I'm going to try this one out. This was recommended to me by Dragwarn of Kismet, so this could be one potentially for me. I love the idea of a tiling one.
Yeah,
the other one that I'm looking at is LXDE. It's a lightweight X11 desktop environment. It's, as you can see, not necessarily the prettiest, but whatever. Look, when I boot up I want to do two things. I want to open Chrome and Terminal.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's pretty much all I do on my computer too.
So I don't need some sexy windowing environment
Yeah.
like Cinnamon, and hopefully that will
just need
take
it to
care of
work.
5 watts that I'm losing right here. Because man, all right. So those are. Oh, then finally, if you really want to get crazy, you could go with Watt OS. Watt OS is a very fast, very
Oh, that's
lightweight
cute.
operating system. Their 6th release just came out. It's based on Ubuntu 12.04.
Oh, this is a whole operating system.
Whole operating
Wow,
system.
okay.
They claim it runs great on anything up to 360, or anything as low as 366 megahertz with 256 megs of RAM.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So back in the, I don't think that was early-
90s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Late 90s.
No, seriously.
Early 90s too.
Pete,
256 megs
when
of
did
RAM?
when did the Pentium come out? The 366 is pre-Pentium or first Pentium? I think that's first
I don't
Pentium.
know. I'm gonna say 94.
No, first Pentium was 90. What am I thinking?
90?
Or was there a 66?
I don't remember.
Anyway, I'm thinking Pentium 2 MMX with the 400s. But regardless, 366 is slow.
Yeah,
That
that's
was like,
really
That was like
really
my
slow.
first gaming rig for Unreal Tournament 99.
Like if somebody made me use one of those computers right now, I would probably throw it at the wall.
Hey, not if you're running Watt
No!
OS. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
We
so
should test that.
we should, because this seems like, I mean, it has built-in stuff. Like it's got Chromium with Flash support. It's got, a Audacious player. It's got, all the basic stuff you would want in a distro.
Yeah.
So it seems like one, this could breathe new life into old machines, but also it's specifically made to be very power efficient. So worst case scenario, I might try just booting into this on a USB drive to see what it can do with my machine.
Yeah, you should.
Yes.
Oh, fun stuff.
All right, so at this point, I would love you guys to send your power management tips over to feedback@hak5.org, because I'm trying to get anything I can get to get the life of this machine to
I might
last
have
longer.
a few myself, actually.
And
yeah.
if you send those to me, maybe we can do another roundup and get those out to everybody. So that would be good
Yes.
stuff. All right. Well, in just a bit, you're going to be getting your encryption on, huh?
I will. We kind of have our role switched today.
Yeah, a little
You
bit.
did the power management one, which is usually like a Snubs one, and I'm doing encryption, which is usually a Darren thing.
Hey, there we go. All right,
Sweet.
we're going to do that. We're going to swap clothing and everything, and we'll be back right after this
Sure.
break. Are you thinking about replacing your outdated firewall, your gateway, your UTM? Well, maybe you're wondering how Untangle stacks up against, and you might be surprised because Untangle is the most complete solution out of the box. You can skip the multiple appliances, the hidden costs, the add-ons, and the annoying sales guys most of all. If you've got hardware or you just want a software or a virtualized solution, get this, Untangle gets the job done with so much less cash, and you can even try it out for free on your network with no, commitment. All you have to do is just take your commodity PC hardware that you already have laying around and just go ahead and grab yourself the download. If you just need the minimum protection, run the Lite package. It's open source, which we love. It's free of charge. And if you want the full-featured solution with the advanced web filtering, the application controls, the policy management, the bandwidth control, you're gonna want the premium package. That's what I have at home. The QoS stuff is awesome. And you're gonna get every single Untangle app they make. Get this, they're really supporting us here, and we want to support them. And Hak5 viewers, you're gonna get 14-day free trial to try out the Untangle premium package of apps. And if you decide to buy, you're gonna save 20% off the price. All you have to do is use the promo code Hak5, or please visit untangle.com/Hak5. Try it out, you're really gonna like it. I mean, just throw it on a VM and see how powerful a router can really be.